This presentation of Lion Tracks is made possible through the kind support of Tangipahoa Parish Tourism, your guide to the crossroads of Louisiana.
Tangipahoa Parish is home to the strawberry capital of the world and the premier destination for family fun and adventure. Whether you're looking to visit one of our historic museums, grab a bite to eat at our amazing restaurants, or attend an exciting local event, there's always something to do in Tangipahoa Parish. Tangipahoa Tourism is proud to support the Southeastern Channel in its mission to educate and inspire young media professionals right here in Tangipahoa Parish, the crossroads of Louisiana.
Hello and welcome to Lion Tracks, your destination for the inside story on Southeastern athletics. I'm your host, Jules Dormain, and today we're talking with Lion basketball head coach, David Kiefer. How are you doing today, Coach?
I'm doing good. Appreciate you having me.
Okay, so first, I just wanted to say congratulations on becoming this season the second most winningest coach in Southeastern basketball history, 86 wins and counting. Can you just talk about your success here at Southeastern so far?
Yeah, first off, obviously, really just appreciative of giving the opportunity. I was one of the youngest coaches in the country when they gave me an opportunity, and I was just an assistant coach under Coach Ladner when we had success, and Coach Ladner went on to Southern Miss. I thought that was going to be my path and being an assistant there, and Coach J.R. Teague saw something in me and believed in me, and we lost our entire roster almost when Coach Ladner left, so we really had to build from the ground up, and being given the keys for the first time as a head coach, that was kind of a whirlwind the first year and a half, and then COVID hits, but really just a process of growth, and I feel like I've gotten much more comfortable in this role, and got some really good people that have worked for me and helped me get to that point, and some really good players too. So just really appreciative of the people that believed in me, but also the people that helped me to achieve that goal and that honor to be the second most winning coach of all time.
Yes, sir. Speaking of some of those players, this season Southeastern had two all-conference first-team members, Jakevion Buckley and Sam Hines Jr. Both of them are now gone from the program. How do you replace guys like that whenever that happens?
Man, it's really hard to replace just guys that are all league guys like that. But players come, they go. That's kind of the new wave of college sports, especially college basketball. Guys, to keep a guy on your team for longer than 2 years now is almost unheard of. So you can't really blame these kids. There's so much ridiculous amount of money that's been throwing around to these kids in schools in the higher level, taking guys that become all conference players. But at the same time, there's guys at those levels that aren't playing a ton that that we can sneak down here. So of course we're upset that you lose those guys, and those guys are graduating and moving on with their life. But at the same time, it's on to the next one. It's the next man up, and we got to go see if we can go steal another diamond in the rough.
Yes, sir. Speaking of some of those players that you've been able to find through the transfer portal, just thinking back to a few years ago, you had guys like Boogie Anderson, Roscoe Eastman, and this year Sam Hines Jr. Yeah. What is your philosophy whenever you're looking for guys like that?
Yeah, for sure. And all those guys, and not to knock those guys, but all those guys coming into this program. Boogie Anderson came from South Dakota, came off the bench, averaged about 6 points a game. Sam Hines came up off the bench at South Florida, averaged about 4 or 5 a game. Jakevion Buckley, he was in our conference at Lamar, came off the bench and only about 6 or 7 a game. But we really do, I got to give my staff a lot of credit, because we really do a good job, I think, of just watching film. I think a lot of coaches look at the easy way out. First thing, they look at stats, then they look at highlights and all those things. We're looking at guys that make winning plays, guys that are high character guys that will fit into our program, because there's a lot of guys that just aren't given the opportunity, or a coach may play favorites in this situation. So we really just tried to watch all the little things that don't show up in the stat sheet. You know, Sam, we knew from day one how great of a teammate he was. He was actually teammates with Roscoe Eastman in high school, so we knew what type of guy we were getting. And then you just put on the film and see him playing unselfish defensively and being really athletic and strong. So we don't really get caught up in stats too much because, again, we're not LSU. We can't just go pay a kid $500,000 to be on our roster. So we got to, you know, again, find some diamonds in the rough, guys that are overlooked, guys that may not jump out in the stat sheet, but okay, how can we bring him here and make him the best player he can be within our system?
Yes, sir. And kind of going with that, kind of a big surprise to some Southeastern fans. Brody Roberry entered the transfer portal, ended up going back closer to home in Idaho. How do you replace, you know, his role that he had on this team? Because he was a 2-year starter at this point, 3-year starter. Yes,
2.5. You know, his first year, him and Nick Codwell kind of split, depending on who we were playing that day. But you know, Brody and I have talked throughout the time. You know, it wasn't a shock to me. You know, we obviously wanted him to stay and finish his career out here, but you know, Brody's family has came to so many games, and his sister now being in college all the way on the West Coast, and his family being from Idaho, that was just a lot for their family. And I think Brody grew up, was a huge University of Idaho fan, was kind of his dream school. So to get that last year for him, obviously it stinks for us as a program because Brody was, you know, a huge for our program. But I'm happy for him. We've gotten obviously close as a relationship, myself and Brody, but obviously his family as well, for him to be able to go home and play in front of his family. But you know, you don't replace that type of guy. I think what we will do is, you know, I've always been a coach that wants to be athletic and get up and down and play fast and be over the rim. And again, that's not what Brody was. But at the same time, when we found Brody, and Brody was 6'11", 300 pounds, and I saw this big guy moving and catching and finishing and passing and being a great leader, we couldn't pass up on that. But at the same time, it kind of put us in a little bit of a box on how we wanted to play, because when you have a guy like that, you're not going to press, you're not going to do those things. So now with him being gone, obviously hurts our program and leadership and continuity, but at the same time, we're going to be able to go out, I think, and get a guy that can move around a little bit better, be athletic, dunk, and get back to kind of some pressing and stuff that we want to do.
Yes, sir. Speaking of athleticism, freshman Jeremy Elize,
yeah.
Elize, he had a really good season this year, really started to come into his own as the season went on. I know I announced actually a couple of games, and I went to that McNeese game where he hit like 3 back-to-back huge threes in the first half. Can you just talk about him and his progression through the season and what you see in the future for him?
Yeah, you know, he was freshman of the year, and I think maybe one time in 10 years we've had the freshman of the year come back to school, and to be able to have him come back, you know, knock on wood, obviously the transfer portal is open until April 22nd, so you're battling that until the last day, but we've met with the family, we've met with the kid. You're not going to get a more genuine, high-character kid and family than there, and they've given us the word they're back, and he's just really excited to, you know, try to win us a championship next year. But Jeremy was just, you know, you go back to high school, it's amazing that he didn't get recruited. You know, he was Broward County Player of the Year down there in Miami, and we all know Miami-Dade County has almost as many people as the state of Louisiana, I feel like, in itself. So he got Player of the Year in 7A down there at a big school with 3,000 or 4,000 students, goes, wins the state championship, he's finals MVP, and ends the season with 1 scholarship offer, and that's Southeastern. So I know there's a lot of agents and a lot of, it'd be crazy how many people that are hitting him in his inbox, but Jeremy's a really loyal kid, and for him to come back and stay, he's going to be really special, and he's been in the gym, in the weight room every single day since the season's ended. So just really excited. We haven't had a freshman of the year since I've been the coach here as an assistant or head coach, so really excited about watching his growth from the beginning of the season to the end and watching what he's doing now. He's going to be a force next year.
Yes, sir, and we've kind of been talking about a lot of players leaving, but one freshman, local freshman, kind of reminds me of Nick Caldwell, obviously from Louisiana, Garrett Shoemaker. Can you just talk about him and your recruitment process with him and what you see him coming into this program?
Garrett's, I'm really excited about Garrett. Obviously, it's going to be a huge transition from high school to Division I basketball, and you know, he just completely dominated Louisiana basketball and the Mississippi League that he was in. You know, a bunch of 30-point games, double-doubles. Really athletic, has some pretty good skill, can put on the floor a little bit, step outside, hit a 3. Just, you know, I think the biggest thing for him is going to just be the speed and athleticism adjustment, and then just putting on weight. But he's got an extremely high ceiling. I think he plays hard. The things that I like, he's got a great family that, you know, he's going to come in, he's going to know how to be held accountable, he's going to be coachable. He's got a great high school coach. He gets up before school 4 or 5 days a week, 5, 6 in the morning, gets there and works out. So bringing in guys that have the right mentality, that want to make money playing basketball, that are serious about their craft, that want to get good grades, are huge things for us. And Garrett checks all those boxes, and I expect him to come in right away. Obviously, maybe go through some adjustments, but Garrett's going to be a really good player at Southeastern.
Yes, sir. My last thing that I wanted to touch on was just kind of your standard for Southeastern basketball. The past 4 years, we've had at least one player on the all-conference first team. Can you just talk about your philosophy, you know, with Southeastern basketball and your standard?
Yeah, just, you know, our biggest thing is we want, you know, gritty, grimy, and tough guys that are super unselfish. You know, you don't win. Tough guys win at the end of the day, and we want to make sure we're recruiting really aggressive, tough guy. Obviously, on the court, off the court, we want good people, but making sure that we have guys that really work their butt off and are extremely unselfish. Because if they line up with our philosophy in the offices, that they'll have success in the court. We don't want selfish guys that are out there playing for themselves, guys that are not going to put in the extra work. Because there's no magic button in this thing. I tell the guys all the time, well, we want to come down there and I want to be all conference and I want to be this and that. Well, that's ultimately up to you. How coachable are you going to be? How unselfish are you going to be? And I think we do a really good job of developing our players, but at the same time giving them that confidence and freedom to play. And I think we've done a good job with the guys like that. As long as they're coming in to be unselfish and be coachable, I like to give guys freedom and confidence.
All right, thank you, Coach. That's about all the time we have for this episode of Lion Tracks. To catch this show as well as others on Lion Track, check out our YouTube channel or search for the Southeastern channel on your streaming device. I'm Jules Dormain, and we'll see you next time.
This presentation of Lion Tracks is made possible through the kind support of Tangipahoa Parish Tourism, your guide to the crossroads of Louisiana.
Tangipahoa Parish is home to the strawberry capital of the world and the premier destination for family fun and adventure. Whether you're looking to visit one of our historic museums, grab a bite to eat at our amazing restaurants, or attend an exciting local event, there's always something to do in Tangipahoa Parish. Tangipahoa Tourism is proud to support the Southeastern Channel in its mission to educate and inspire young media professionals right here in Tangipahoa Parish, the crossroads of Louisiana.